now then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and happy Memorial Day. Welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West, here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Now, as usual, I'll give you the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made it first, followed by a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community, or maybe some pictures. And then I'll give you the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it, folks. So let's waste no time. Oh, yeah. Ooh-wee. Let's get to it. Story number 1. How can Liberty make Belmont improvements? The vision to get improvements done on Belmont Avenue from Liberty Street north to Churchill Commons by John Eagle has been a topic of discussion. The goal, according to a Mediator report published May 23rd, is to enhance safety, access mobility for non-motorized users, while also improving the aesthetics of the corridors. The story is still developing. That's why story number 1 made it this week. Story number 2. Hubbard seeks money to assist in residential housing. $250,000 is the money. That's the dollar amount that the city officials of Hubbard are hoping for in the city of Hubbard. Now, the goal is to improve residential housing. The CHIP program is a part of the Ohio Development Services Agency. The story is yet another one still developing because Hubbard is trying to make some big moves and they need money to do it. Big help. Story number 3. Will Lordstown Motors make it to the promised land? To the mountaintop. Another test vehicle catches fire at the Foxconn plant in Lordstown. That's not good news. The company has been fighting to meet the expectations of investors, but a lot of people are finding out that these lithium-ion batteries are very risky. They seem to catch fire at some of the oddest times. Now, the most recent news shows that the company is still attempting to make the adjustments needed to boost investor confidence, though. They're still moving along, but they're yet to reach the promised land. This is yet another story, folks, that is in the news, making headlines in circulation, and is still in the development stages. Big headlines. Story number 4. Dam study in Girard. Not a dam study, but a dam study. Ooh, yeah. The Upper Girard Lake Dam has been a topic of discussion for the city of Girard. The city will be preparing to have an engineering study and inspection done. The cost of the study will be $195,000, and the goal is to prove that the dam is stable. More efficient energy needs is what got this story in. The story is still in circulation, and we'll probably be keeping an eye. People will be keeping an eye on because water movement makes motion, and that's potential and kinetic. Oh, just I'm sure you get it. It's potential energy. Big. Story number 5. What's going on with Ohio nurses? Nursing shortages across the board. Ohio nursing home staff members are stretched to the limit, according to recent news reports, as frustration grows. According to one report by WFMJ, the fear is that the problem won't get solved. That's what they're telling the governor. They're asking the governor for some help, Governor Mike DeWine. Now, burnout was also mentioned in the report. Quality of care is also being addressed. The story is still developing. That's why story number 5. Later this week. Story number 6. Poland is looking to build a new school or some new schools, but how? How will they build a new school or schools? Designing a new school in Poland is the goal. The planning is so extensive that Poland officials have been meeting for the past 11 months. There have been hundreds of meetings. The plan so far is to have 3 brand new campuses. At the moment, the total cost for the 3 buildings will be about $122.9 million. Oh, Lord, do you know what I could manifest with a corporation to do with that kind of tax money? Now, the plan is to pay for the property, and the plan to pay for the property is with a 37-year tax levy. Folks, that's 3 mortgages, and I can house my whole family in this place. Now, this story is still developing. Let's hope that Poland gets the momentum and gets the schools that they needed, but hopefully they will have the money to pay for it. That's why story number 6 almost made it to the top 2 this week. We're talking education. Big headline. Story number 7 and the top 2 local headlines and developing news stories that made it this week in memory of all of the risen and fallen soldiers. With risen soldiers, when I entered the Navy some time ago, I told the recruiter, I said, no, you don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me or force me to go in. I'm going in. I know I have to earn my right to be a sailor. You know, I have nothing else better to do. I'm going to fight for the country, fight for the Constitution, fight for the people. And one day I will be a mediator. And he looked at me and he said, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you leave? I said, I want to get educated and I want to be a philosopher. He laughed at me. And now to this day, that recruiter is probably somewhere in America and I'm here mediating. God keeps his promises, folks. Story number 7. Boardman school teachers get new contract. The deal is set and has been approved. A 3-year contract with the Boardman Education Association. According to local reports, the deal will take effect July 1st and includes a 3% pay increase each year of the contract. Boardman, I need a job. I gave all that money to the art school. Can I get some of that money back? Story number 7, almost made to the top this week. Boardman is talking new contract. Big headlines. Story number 8 and the top local headline and developing news story that made it this week. I just want to tell a story, Mom. You don't have to tell me a bedtime story. I'm going to tell the story. That's when we get to story number 8. The Mediator was born with a book, newspaper, and some ink pads in his hand. He was ready to tell and write and read a story. That's my story, folks, and I'm sticking to it. Story number 8. Youngstown City Schools, the topic of discussion. Speaking of stories, Youngstown City School activists held a town hall meeting to discuss how House Bill 70 affected the district in so many ways. Now, as stated in one local report, the coalition is trying to help the Youngstown City School Board establish further autonomy and be more physically responsible, if you want to use the word physically. Now, one report by the Mediator also points out the failures brought on by House Bill 70 and the damage that it did to Youngstown City, the school district. Folks, all I can say is that if you're motivated to learn, obviously something good will come out of it. Now, Cleveland School District they also suffered under the bill. The district sank all the way down to number 604 of the Ohio's 608 schools. So they went almost down to the real bottom. And they're blaming it on House Bill 70. So now that all these activists are getting together, like Reverend Kenneth L. Simon and some other community activists, Gemma McWilson, they're all getting together and they're trying to figure something out for the greater good of Youngstown City School Districts. All I can say is that if you're motivated to learn, you'll end up like me eventually someday, finding a book, sitting in a room, reading it, and finding out that the knowledge that you need is in the books. Well, folks, this story is still developing. Well, folks, those are our top 8 local headlines in developing news stories that made this week. I'll be right back with the top 8 international headlines in developing news stories. So don't you go anywhere. You're the Mediator with me, Brian West. I'll be right back.
Tune in and don't forget to subscribe to Method 8 Inc. YouTube channel. You can also watch free public entertainment. And don't forget to show some support by visiting www.method8inc.com by buying something, clicking something, watching something, or just reading something. You can also sponsor a program as well. That's www.method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
Right shoulder, arm. Detail, 10, hut! Forward, fire! Raise and march! Prepare to fire! 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 Raise and march!
Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Folks, yes, I did serve this country. I still serve this country. Probably the only country I'll probably ever serve, Lord willing. Never get overthrown or anything. But I learned one thing working for the government is that even if you get fired, they're still watching you. I mean, you could, even if you can't get fired in the branches, but you can get kicked out, and some people will try because the job is hard serving the people, and from the looks of it doesn't seem to be getting any easier. So that's why this Memorial Day, if you could try something to pay some type of respect to the people who are servicing this great nation, it would be greatly appreciated. I mean, I almost nearly died. I lost my mind serving this country, and I'm not gonna lie to you. When I got out, it was tough. It still is tough. Still adjusting to civilian life, the memories of seeing planes flying in the tower, seeing people with no arms, no legs. But you serve because you have to carry out the mission, the greater good of the people. But you do have to go through a lot. So that's why we shall never forget. And that's why I made a song about it. You must love thy brother, but you must really, really, really love thy soldier. A soldier is war and peace. A soldier is wisdom and a soldier is take him to the bridge, bride. Love. Woo! Happy Memorial Day to all the soldiers fighting out on the battlefield. Peace, love, and happiness. Let's get to these top 8. Let's get to it. Story number 1. Gambling sparks investigation. There is a message in here somewhere, folks. According to Fox Sports, the NFL is investigating a second wave of possible gambling policy violations. So far, legal sports betting has been selling steady under the radar, but there are some reports making headlines, especially with the new NCAA new name and likeness policy. This is a story that is still developing, just making headlines, and the rules are extensive in this these new gambling and name and likeness these story. That's why story number 1 made it in this week's sports story. Big head. Story number 2: Thou shalt not steal is becoming a retail prayer. Lord, please forgive these people for stealing from the store. They need something, they want something, so they take it. Story number 2. Just about every retail story is the same. Soaring inflation, high prices. Theft is also on the radar. A recent CNN business report states that retailers, large and small, say they're struggling to contain an escalation in store crimes. That's real. The article goes on to mention shoplifting and organized crime sprees of large-scale theft that seems to clear entire shelves of products. These are reports of billions of dollars in stolen inventory. Some stores are leaving crime-riddled areas and shutting down. That's how bad the story is. That's why story number 2 made it this week. Story number 3. People could learn to appreciate a good deal even more if inflation keeps up. Reuters reports that inflation has cut into a lot of U.S. households. This is becoming a big deal because, according to a Fed report, they're saying the "I'm okay," which means like I'm all right. They're saying that the financial outlook on that "I'm okay" means that people are not okay. In 2022, it tumbled by 5 percentage points. So that means that a lot of people are not okay. Now, according to the report, this is big news for local people trying to make ends meet. So on the ground level, raw deals are being made by some people who are left with little to no choices but to go for the smaller deals that they can afford. And sometimes those smaller deals don't account in quality. These stories alone, they get by. These stories keep getting by, and they keep becoming very, very common, thus getting this story in because they keep happening. And people are trying to get by. They're trying to get by on other people. Some people are just trying to make a buck, so they even cheat. This story is still developing. That's why story number 3 made it this week. Story number 4. The education story is hanging on. What is the education fix, folks? The education news is hanging on in the headlines. Some teachers are bowing out, and college student debt is still a major concern. There is a lot of moving and shaking taking place in this report, and at this time, the story is still developing because those who have and those who do not have want some of that have, and they have not. That's why story number 4 made it this week. Well, folks, those are our top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I'll be right back with the top 4. So don't you go anywhere. You're in the media. I'll be Brian West. I'll be right back. If you want to check out the stories that almost made it in or did make it in, go to our Twitter feed on our website. Check out everything. All of the sources are there. Go to the website. It's method8inc.com. Method8inc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor the program. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Yes, we celebrate Memorial Day in remembrance of the soldiers. I remember it like it was yesterday, being on the ship, serving. I can tell you this much, is that being and working in the government is no different from a TV show. It almost feels like you're inside of a TV episode. It feels like you're being watched. You could hear the laughter in the background. Oh, Johnny, this is a good show. You're going on the ship, you're meeting new people, you're laughing, you're talking about the captain and what you're going to do and what you ain't going to do when the captain comes around. You're quiet as all wisdom may seem. You're just talking about people behind their back. Then all of a sudden you're on the mess deck, you see planes flying into a building, and all the laughing just suddenly comes to a halt. Oh, hell no, they just flew some planes into the towers. It's going down. People bringing out the guns, brothers, they ain't laughing no more. People have been cheating on their wives trying to get back to base, and next thing you know, all hell done broken loose. Everybody ready to kick some ass. Oh, ass. And then after it's all said and done, you survive the world war. You get over it. You get over the pain. You still have visions. Sometimes you wake up and you still think you're on a ship. And life goes on. And you end up hosting a news program years later that one minute you were written off in a hospital, didn't think you were going to make it. That's how quickly time goes by. And that's why they call it Memorial Day. A time to remember, folks. A time to remember. Freedom! Let's get to it. Just got to let it out. Story number 5. The good, the bad, and the ugly in American health. Computers, antibodies, medically induced patients sitting in hallways on oxygen. Oh, that is bad. These are the sights and sounds of the American health debate. Some people have been complaining about high prices and what appears to be no easy fix. This story got in after 155 resident physicians went on strike Monday at a New York hospital. The story is still developing because the medical world is trying to sound the alarm, but right now there's not much that can be done about it. We have an entire generation that needs to be fully trained morally, ethically, and efficiently. That's why story number 5 made it this week. Story number 6. There is still a homeless problem. Yes, there is. America's homeless problem is growing. And the new reports out is the fact that seniors are now flooding homeless shelters who cannot care for themselves, who cannot care for them. Should I say homelessness problem? Homeless problem. Homelessness and homeless. Those are two similar words. Now, some seniors have severe medical conditions that cannot be treated. And this is a problem. Some of them have cancer and they can't afford to get help. They can't afford a doctor. Some of them even refuse to get a doctor because they have mental health problems. The number is big. Nearly 250,000 people 55 or older are estimated by the government to have been homeless in the United States during at least part of 2019. That's big. And with the border crisis going on and the new housing, trying to house asylum seekers or illegal immigrants, however you want to call them, we still have a problem. This is according to the Washington Post. That's why story number 6 almost made it to the top 2 this week. Well, the stats is from the Washington Post. The other stuff you can find easily. There is a problem in America when it comes to immigration and homelessness and American homelessness. Big head. Story number 7 in the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that have made it this week for you, keep you informed, keep you on top of things. Folks, when I was yay high, serving the country, and now I'm still yay high, still trying to serve, I admit, yes, I do have a mental disorder. I love my native land. I love the fact that we have been through battles, and some of us have actually overcome. Folks, I'm not rich and wealthy. I'm content. I do not reach for millions. I do not ask for things that I cannot receive. I just take the blessings. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Therefore, I have empowered myself to mediate. That is my decision. I get nothing in return at times, but I give you what you need and what you may not know that you need, and that's to be informed. Story number 7. Debt is becoming a global problem. According to the IIF, the global debt is near record highs. This CNBC article shoots out a number as high as $305 trillion in global debt. Ooh, that's a lot of money. A lot of money. Enough to buy me a heaven, a planet, a spaceship, And on top of that, get me some corduroys for the winter time if they still make corduroys. There's some wolf dogs. I like wolf dogs, the ones that they use in Alaska. I forget what they're, huskies, I think that's what they call. I think that's what they call. Forgive me if I say it wrong. Now that's 45 trillion higher than its pre-pandemic level. And it's expected to continually increasing. That means somebody is spending a lot of money. The report goes on to say that the global debt grew by $8.3 trillion in the first quarter. These stories are staggering and really point out why there are so many new bank stories in the headline, especially the bank failures. There is no leverage, folks. There's just no leverage. This story is still developing. That's why story number 7 also made it to the top this week. Big. Story number 8 at the top. International headline and developing news story that made it this week for you. Keep you informed on Memorial Day, every day, on holiday, your birthday, your weekday, your weekend. Story number 8. Debt ceiling negotiations continue with little time left. Ooh, he's talking money, talking problems. Time is running out and still no deal has been reached. The sticking points have a lot to do with demands being made by top Republicans who want spending cuts. Another sticking point is expanded work requirements for federal benefits such as food stamps. Now, at the moment, the president is desperate to get something through, or it could cost him his job, his life's problems, and on top of that, his long list of service years. And somebody could else be voted in if he does not get this situated. Nobody wants this on their resume. People want the bills paid. This story is still developing because there's just not much time left. We have to come up with a deal. I need to feed myself. And on top of that, I need to feed my remembrance and brethren. Well, folks, that's it. I'm out of here. I hope you got something out of today's program. I always get something out of doing the research. As usual, I'd like to thank all the news outlets, the journalists, the people on the front lines. You deserve all the credit. I'm just the media, the man in the middle, navigating your stories just to keep you informed. If you want to show us some support here at Method, it does not take much. All you have to do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program. Or you could stop at the store at 5648 Market Street in Boardman or Youngstown, Ohio. Buy something. I'll be in there. I'm smiling, showing love. If not, you can just give me a hug, tell me how good of a job I'm trying to do. Well, folks, I'm out of here. I'll be back next week looking through over 200 or more stories just to keep you informed. And remember. I'll be back, folks. Have a good week. I'll be back next week, folks. Have a good week. Thank you for Thank you for tuning into The Mediator with me, Brian West. Peace.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.